This is Oklahoma Inside Out, a weekly broadcast of Cimarron Alliance that focuses on the issues, culture, and people important to LGBT Oklahomans. And now, here is your host for Oklahoma Inside Out, Scott J. Hamilton.
Hi, and welcome to the fall season of Oklahoma Inside Out. I'm so happy that you're with us today. We've really got a number of wonderful shows lined up for you this season, ranging from cultural issues to our gala, which is coming up, and some of the great honorees that we're featuring this year. Today's show, though, is a pretty serious one as we speak with a guest who you undoubtedly have seen or heard in the news recently. He's someone who we are pleased to work with on a regular basis, promoting equality for all people. And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're listening to this broadcast today, because I think it will be enlightening to you to have a greater understanding of what's going on, not just for LGBT Oklahomans, but others as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy the program, and we'll be back with our guest right after this.
This edition of Oklahoma Inside Out is made possible through the generosity of friends and supporters like you. To support this program and the advancement of equal rights for LGBT Oklahomans, please consider making a generous gift today at CimarronAlliance.org.
Again, welcome to Oklahoma Inside Out. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm especially happy to welcome into our studio today a man who I have come to know as not only an extraordinary colleague, but also a friend, someone that I have the opportunity to work with on a very frequent basis, and most recently in a very unpleasant situation. But it's my pleasure to introduce to you today our good friend, the Executive Director of CAIR Oklahoma, Adam Soltani. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You know, it's funny. You and I never have a chance to grab lunch. We never have a chance to just sit down and visit over coffee.
Right.
Instead, we always wind up in the middle of something big.
Right.
And unfortunately, those are oftentimes not celebrations.
Yeah.
And you have been in the news a great deal lately, combating the, I'll call them very vicious words of an Oklahoma legislator. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this whole situation with Representative Bennett.
You know, it's unfortunate. I mean, really, for many years now, Muslims in Oklahoma have been facing struggles with elected officials, you know, from the start in 2010 of the anti-Sharia law trying to ban our moral code of conduct, religious conduct from the court system in Oklahoma, which was really just a way of trying to demonize the Muslim faith, you know. From going from that to, in February 2013, Representative John Bennett created this counterterrorism caucus, you know, and the whole idea behind it was to protect Oklahoma from terrorism. Okay, you know, I mean, who would argue with that? I think we all are concerned about the safety for our families, our children, for the people we care about in the state. But it seems that this counterterrorism caucus has been little more than just a way to attack Muslims. You know, he's proven it left and right, but it really came to a boiling point, I guess you could say, earlier in September when he put a very direct post on his Facebook page saying that our holy scripture, the Holy Quran, is, orders Muslims to kill non-believers, which is not true. And then he said, be wary of Muslim Americans, especially if you're Christian. And we called him out on it. We held him accountable for his words. And instead of apologizing, which we asked him to do, he just escalated. And he escalated in part because of the support from the chairman of the Republican Party here in Oklahoma, Dave Weston, who not only supported him, but even added his own inflammatory statement, saying for 1,400 years, Islam has been spread by the sword, you know. And it really has just escalated to the point that he started inciting violence against Muslims when he, this past Monday, in Seminole, had a town hall meeting of sorts with his constituents and said Islam is a cancer that needs to be cut out of America.
I'm going to stop you there
Sure.
for a moment. Say that again.
Okay. He said Islam is a cancer that needs to be cut out of America.
I struggle to think of a more dramatic inflammatory phrase.
Yeah.
To indicate that an entire group of people based on their religion should be eradicated from the United States.
Yeah.
We've seen this in history before. This kind of language was used in the Holocaust. Right. Instead of Muslims, exchange that word for Jews. Right. Jews were referred to as a malignancy that should be eradicated. And so these are not just off-the-cuff remarks, are they?
No, not at all. And you know, it became very apparent to me that he's clearly wanting to just get rid of Muslims in America. You know, he said that he wants to defend Oklahoma and our nation from Islam, basically. And the other night on a news broadcast, he said, if you're a Muslim and you adhere to Islam, then you're just as bad as ISIS, comparing people who follow a faith to extremist groups. And it's really sad, you know, that we've forgotten our own history in this country.
We clearly have. I mean, to make that supposition would be the same thing as saying, well, all Christians are aligned with the lunatics who bomb abortion clinics, or some of the extreme Westboro Baptist Church folks, KKK, for example. The KKK is a perfect example.
Yeah, I mean, that it wasn't long ago, and I remind people, it wasn't that long ago in our country when we had colored versus white water fountains, and blacks had to sit on the back of the bus. You know, I mean, that wasn't that long ago in our history, and we really think we've gone a long ways as far as race relations, but really we haven't.
No, and unfortunately, I think we tend to fool ourselves simply by not talking about it. We pretend that it's not a problem, but this is I think a unique opportunity to just lay it out there and say, this is what's happening. Now, Adam, you are a husband, you're a father, you're a community leader, you are active in the life, the heart blood of Oklahoma City. Yeah. And I cannot even, I have a glimpse of what it's like, but to be singled out and to be told that not only do you not count, but that you should be eliminated. Yeah. These are horrifying words. I want to get into this a little deeper, and we're going to do that after we take a short break. Okay. Our guest today is Adam Soltani.
Hi, I'm David Macy, a board member of the Cimarron Alliance, and I'm asking for your help. We work every single day to make life better for gay Oklahomans, now and for generations to come. But we can't do it without you. Please consider making a gift of just $20 a month to the Cimarron Alliance and be a part of our march toward equality. Visit www.cimarronalliance.org today and make your pledge. It's a gift
if
you
can
rely
feel
on
the
good
daily
about giving.
paper and local television news for information about your local, state, and federal government, then you are only getting half the story. The Oklahoma Observer goes beyond what other news sources provide. In fact, we offer news, analysis, and commentary that you can't find anywhere else. As quickly as things change at the state and federal levels, we all need to know how legislation affects our community and ourselves. But how can we make sense of what's happening at the state capitol and in Washington? The answer is the Oklahoma Observer. We make the information and the impact on you easy to understand. This way you can make truly informed decisions about your elected officials, community, and family. If you've never read the Oklahoma Observer or haven't read it in a while, I hope you'll take a look. You might be surprised just how much help we can be to you. Visit us today at okobserver.net. Our only agenda is to provide critical news for critical thinkers.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Inside Out. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, and today we're speaking with Adam Soltani, the Executive Director of CAIR Oklahoma. CAIR is the Council on American Islamic Relations. And before the break, Adam, we were talking about your life in Oklahoma City. You grew up in the United States. Yes. This is your home. This is where you're raising your children. I heard Imam Anchasi this week say that all of the schools, all of the Muslim schools in the state are under high alert, and the children are not allowed to play outside. Right. Talk about that.
Well, it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, we live in a world where, and I see it probably more than anybody, and I share tidbits of it with my community because I don't want to scare them. I don't want to scare them to the point that they don't feel comfortable to walk outside their homes. But I see on a weekly basis hate crimes, whether it be verbal abuse, physical abuse, or vandalism or attacks against property against Muslims in the United States. We've seen it here in Oklahoma, where a mosque, which is not far from the Equality Center here, was vandalized twice in the span of about 9 months.
That's recent too, isn't it?
That's recent, yeah. It was vandalized last in April 2013, so it wasn't long ago. Earlier this year in Tulsa area, a woman, she wasn't even Muslim. She was perceived to be Muslim. And she was actually a Christian Arab, and she was physically and verbally attacked, back in, I guess it was February, March, here in Oklahoma City, a Pakistani Muslim limo driver was verbally and physically assaulted, called a terrorist, told to go back home, beaten up by a gentleman, and unfortunately, these are the things we face, the reality we face. So being on high alert is something that we unfortunately have to do. It's scary, it's concerning. I mean, just yesterday I was sitting in my office and I got a phone call from a guy, and I was a bit thrown off because he's just like, "Is this CAIR? Yes. Is this the director? Yes, I am." And he's like, "Well, you know where this is headed, right?" And I said, "I'm confused. I don't understand." And he said, "Well, I think you need to be beheaded, and I think all the Muslims in Oklahoma need to be beheaded." And it's scary, and I reported that to the authorities, and they're going to be looking into it. But it's concerning to think that in my own country, in where I'm from, I'm being treated differently just because of my faith, and I'm taught growing up, as we all are, that I have the freedom to choose. But yet, as an adult, I'm being told that, no, this freedom doesn't belong to you because of your faith.
So you talk about death threats. We have had more than a few of those at Cimarron Alliance. And oftentimes I find that those are most prevalent when we've made an advancement. Mm-hmm. Right. Because the majority feels like they're losing control.
Right.
And that's something akin to what you're talking about. As Muslim Americans are perceived by many people more and more just as neighbors, the people that we care for, the people that we work with, the people that we live with. You have others who see what they've always had starting to fail. And to hear that you should be beheaded, that must make you terrified as a father.
It does. It does. I mean, I realize the line of work I'm in, and I realize in the history of the world, those who stand up for truth and justice have unfortunately lost their lives in many occasions. Now, I'm not comparing myself to the likes of Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or any of these great leaders, but it doesn't scare me that I would lose my own life standing up for what is right, because that's what I believe in. But it scares me that my son might lose a father just because of somebody's hatred, and hatred that could be fueled by those that are elected to lead us. That's even more scary. I just don't even know how to think about it, so I try not to.
When an elected official, just by virtue of their position, has a bully pulpit, it takes a lot of effort on the part of a community to combat that. And one of the things that I was so impressed with this week, you held a press conference, and it made me humbled and very proud to be standing with you again, but to also see the diversity of people who were standing with the Muslim communities. You had Jews, you had Christians, you had non-believers who were standing up saying, we can no longer tolerate this in the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. You pointed out something that I thought was very interesting. There are many, many small businesses that are owned and run by Muslims here.
Oh, yeah. Small and large, absolutely.
And so what happens to someone that is thinking about coming to Oklahoma and they hear something like this? That's got to be a deterrent for growth of new business.
Absolutely. I think if you're a Muslim and you want to move to Oklahoma, you're probably going to think twice about it at this point. I mean, just this morning, an article hit CNN.com about this whole issue and what's been going on. So it's hitting national and even international media. I saw International Business Times yesterday. So I think people would be afraid to want to move to Oklahoma, even though it's a great place to live, and we know that because we live here, and that's why we combat the hatred. But from the outside looking in, it doesn't look so good.
It certainly doesn't, but I'm grateful for the work that you're doing to help combat that. We've got more to talk about, and we'll do that after we take a short break. Our guest today is Adam Soltani.
Hi, I'm Lorette Taylor, past chair of Cimarron Alliance. I joined the board because I believe in the vision and the work of this organization. We're working every day listening to the concerns of our community and helping to address those very concerns. I hope you will consider supporting Cimarron with a gift. Even $10 a month will help. Working together, we really can achieve equality for all gay Oklahomans. Please visit www.cimarronalliance.org and make your gift today.
If you rely on the daily paper and local television news for information about your local, state, and federal government, then you are only getting half the story. The Oklahoma Observer goes beyond what other news sources provide. In fact, we offer news, analysis, and commentary that you can't find anywhere else. As quickly as things change at the state and federal levels, we all need to know how legislation affects our community and ourselves. But how can we make sense of what's happening at the state capitol and in Washington? The answer is the Oklahoma Observer. We make the information and the impact on you easy to understand. This way you can make truly informed decisions about your elected officials, community, and family. If you've never read the Oklahoma Observer or haven't read it in a while, I hope you'll take a look. You might be surprised just how much help we can be to you. Visit us today at okobserver.net. Our only agenda is to provide critical news for critical thinkers.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Inside Out. We're speaking with Adam Soltani, Executive Director of CAIR Oklahoma. Adam, you are the third Executive Director of CAIR that I've had the pleasure of working with. When I got to Oklahoma City almost 5 years ago, one of the very first meetings that I had was with Razi Hashmi, who was the Executive Director of CAIR at that time.
Right.
And I think people, both in the LGBT community and the Muslim community, thought that that was a strange pairing.
Yeah.
Because on the outset, you could say, well, what do gays and Muslims have in common? Besides the fact that we know that there are gay people of all faiths and no faith at all. One of the things that we do have in common is that we're each supporting, advocating for, and working for the equality of everyone. And that cuts across every single boundary, whether it's race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, through everything. And you have been persistent since you stepped into this role in gaining a broad base of understanding and turning that understanding into support. And I think you should be really proud of that work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up. I was born in Kansas. I've been in Oklahoma.
Sorry.
I don't remember much of Kansas. I was really young when I was there, but I've been in Oklahoma for more than 20 years, and I really love it here. But growing up in a multicultural, multi-religious home, my mother's from Olathe, Kansas. Comes from a German-Russian heritage. Many generations removed. My father's a Shia Muslim from southern Iran that immigrated to the U.S. before the revolution. Growing up in that kind of home, and also growing up during a time in the 1980s and 90s with the hostage crisis and the Iran-Iraq war, not only did I have some confusion about, well, who am I, but I think I definitely had an identity crisis, because it was hard enough navigating the culture and the religion aspects of things, but being confused about why do people perceive, my father and where he's from as something bad was hard to deal with. But I think that's why I work so hard and why I have a passion for wanting to bring people together. Because I think the only way we can move forward is if we strip down all the labels and look at ourselves as human beings. That's the one thing we have in common. And we have to bring as many people to the table as we possibly can. And only in that way can we improve our quality of life.
Well, my hat is off to you. My hand is always extended because it's really a pleasure, even in the midst of turmoil, to be able to in our case, look across the parking lot and know that I've got a friend and an ally.
Absolutely.
And I'm convinced, Adam, with the work that you're doing, the work that Cimarron is doing, the NAACP, ACLU, all of us are working in our own ways, but we're finding ways to work together. And I know in part the experiences that you're dealing with, and my fervent hope is that it will not always be this way. That we will be able to sit down and visit about our families one day soon.
Right, absolutely.
Share with us your website address, please.
It is CAIROklahoma.com. That's CAIR Oklahoma.com.
Okay. And I'm just going to encourage our listeners to learn more about the Muslim faith and about Muslims and their great contributions to Oklahoma society. You can do that by visiting the website, and Adam's contact information is there. Adam Soltani, thank you for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, too, for being with us on this broadcast of Oklahoma Inside Out. You know, it takes a lot of great people to do what we do here every single day, and we're appreciative of them and of your support. Cimarron Alliance board co-chairs are Catherine Primus and Allison Coffey. Our volunteer coordinator is Jimmy Chavez. The technical director for this broadcast is Cialis Yossi. And we thank all of them and all of our volunteers and all of our contributors for making this work possible. And we know that one day soon we will achieve our vision of a fair and just Oklahoma. Until next time, I'm Scott J. Hamilton, thanking you for being with us. Have a great day. And please tune in again to Oklahoma Inside Out.
Oklahoma Inside Out is a production of Cimarron Alliance, Central Oklahoma's preeminent LGBT advocacy and education organization. If you have a topic you would like to hear discussed, or a person who you would like to hear interviewed, please call 405-495-9300 or email oklahomainsideout@cimarronalliance.org. Please feel free to share the link to this broadcast with your friends.